welcome back to Super Tuesday Recap. It's Kriss and Dpalm here. And we are finally doing this. We've watched the show before, but it's taken us this long to kind of process everything and get to it. We're here to do our Super Tuesday Recap to review the 13 episodes and have a discussion on 13 episodes of Marvel's Netflix show, Season 1 of Luke Cage. Yeah, man. They did it. We did it.
Make mine Marvel. I don't know what to tell you.
13 hours, man. 13 hours of black as fuckness.
Blackity black. Like, just, wow.
Like, if I was a white person, I'd be upset. Because, like, the only real white person with a really speaking role in this movie was a crooked cop. Like, that is... White people are more than criminals, guys. White cops... Not all white cops. I'm just saying.
Apparently, all the ones they showed.
That is
sample sizable.
That kind of stereotyping is just, you know, I am. It troubles me to my core that we would do this kind of shit. And
in 2016.
I mean, come on, you know, why can't we all come together? You know, all lives matter. Except for these white cops in this movie. I mean, just, damn it, man. I don't understand, man. I just. 2016.
Are you done? Are you done?
I'm done, yeah. I'm done.
All right. Goodness.
Oh man. Yeah, man. So you know, we'll go into a little bit more details later on, but your overall impressions up front.
I honestly couldn't believe they did it. I'm still a little shocked because they didn't just do it. Like, doing it's like telling Luke Cage's story, which they did. But what they made it resonate so. Where you got dudes walking through Harlem in bullet-riddled hoodies. Like, this is for my money, the best thing they've done.
Just to go off of that, one thing I noticed, and again, I'm not gonna say that this show didn't have its adult themes and adult moments in it, but when you compare it to some of the other shows we've watched with Marvel, one thing that stood out to me was, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, they kind of toned down certain violent aspects of this show compared to, like, let's say last season of Daredevil, where you literally have the most bloodiest prison fight I've ever seen in my life.
How about the first season of Daredevil when the Kingpin takes a man's head off with a car door?
Right. I mean, you do have violence, but it's like, it's almost like they toned it down, and it's also brighter time. Like, I don't remember seeing these other Marvel shows, Netflix shows, where it's like you're outside and you're like, hey, it's bright. There's colors. So it feels like they purposely made this show so that, hey, listen, you know what? We have important themes here. We want you to be okay with having your kids watch it. Like, even, like, because even the sex scene between, and we'll get into this later, the Luke Cage and Misty was pretty tame compared to the sex scene that was in Jessica Jones with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it was pretty tame. And I'm like, I almost look at it like, yo, they wanted kids to be able to watch this too. Because it's an important story they're telling here, and it does tie into certain aspects of what black people are feeling when it comes to our culture, our cities, our gentrification, the cops and things like that. And they made it accessible, I think. I think this is a way more accessible and watchable show. Like, I have no problem recommending this to people who have kids than I do, like, Daredevil. Like, we will go, oh yeah, I let my kid watch Daredevil. I'm like, really? You let them watch Daredevil? You sure? You like? Okay. But in this, I'm like, oh no, I think you can watch. I mean, there's a handful of moments here that are extra violent, but for the most part, and the language obviously, but for the most part, like, you can watch this with your kids, you know, and it's got a message and it's got something and I think having a message is something that the other shows don't really even have itself either. Not saying they're bad, but they don't really, not like this.
Well, they're not supposed to. I mean, it's not like it's not like a mark against them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not supposed to have a message.
Right. I mean,
they're just like this. I don't know, man. I'm over I cannot believe they pulled this off.
Yeah. I mean, even some of the conversations that spun out of it, even if I didn't agree with them, I'm like, these are conversations that you can have because of this show. Like when everybody, and again, I didn't really agree with the whole respectability politics things people were saying, but I was like, but you could even have that the fact that you can even have that conversation is something that you wouldn't have with any other show. And I think it was put there on purpose so you could have that conversation and see that
100%.
thing. And so, like, even where it has its flaws, I'm like, those are still things that we look at our society and we look at what's going on and we have these conversations. Like I said, I mean, it opens up in a barbershop.
Yeah.
It opens up in a black barbershop having a conversation about basketball and the Knicks. And I will say the most unrealistic thing in this whole thing is there wasn't enough misogyny in the barbershop. I will say that. There wasn't. That was the most unrealistic thing I saw, and I was just like, wait a minute, they're not calling women bitches and hoes and making me uncomfortable to watch this. So I'm like, you guys took a little liberty there, but I appreciate it. It's liberty that I appreciate because, God damn it, this is why I shave my head now, because I can't go to the barbershop and be dealing with that shit, man. I mean, you hear some fucked up shit in the barbershop, but
That's true.
I mean, playing chess. I mean, just the aesthetics of it and the look of it and the feel of it. It was just so unapologetically black. And again, this is one of those things where I hate to bring up Nate Parker and The Birth of a Nation, but I don't miss not seeing The Birth of the Nation because I got 13 hours of this. I'll be okay. Sure. I will be. We gonna be all right.
We'll be just fine.
We're gonna be all right. Yeah, man. What are some things that stood out to you?
I loved from the very beginning just the little touches, like the swear jar, and it ties to the new comic that's out. But it's just something that's it made the world feel lived in, and for the first time in one of these Marvel shows, the setting mattered.
Yeah.
And I don't. You spending time in New York, really?
I have. I've lived in
Hell's Kitchen's like 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones, I guess that also happened in Hell's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really feel like Harlem was a personality.
Well, I think Harlem was the biggest character, like more than any other character in the show. I think Harlem was the main character.
It was a story about Harlem that happened to have a superhero in it.
I mean, the final battle between Diamondback and Luke Cage is literally for the battle for Harlem. I mean, it is a yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about that until you said it, but you're right. This is the first time where the setting feels legit and real, and in a way, and again, I don't know much about the background of the people who made the other shows, who made Jessica Jones, who made Daredevil, but it feels like it was made by people who understood the people.
Yeah, if you weren't from there, but they're invested in the place.
Right. I mean, my favorite moment in this entire fucking show was the Method Man fucking cameo in episode 12. Like, nigga, I lost my goddamn mind, yo. Because, dog, that shit was fucking real as shit, dog. He was like, "It's you," and they both they both had those moments, yo. And it was just like it was real as shit. And it didn't feel. I mean, there are times when I'm watching this show, and it doesn't feel like I'm watching a show. I feel like I'm watching a documentary crew follow around Luke Cage in Hollywood, and I'm like, "Oh no, okay, that makes sense. All right, cool." When you had Misty Knight shooting hoops at the basketball court, yo. And apparently Simone Mystique actually shot and made all those shots.
Yo, that's what I heard too. I was like, the director's like, "Wait, you actually play?" He's like, "Yeah, of course I play."
Well, I guess you're going to be shooting these shots then. You're going to be you're going to get these shots.
So much film, you better make them.
Right, in heels.
Right.
But even that felt like a legit conversation. It didn't feel like you had to. All right, you know what? I mean, maybe the shots they had to do it multiple takes on, but I'm not even sure about that. But it felt like they probably was like, all right, we're going to do this in one take. And people just had a real conversation. It was like, all right, that's a wrap. We're good. Unlike other times where you're like, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to feel like you're like a ball player and you're talking to this young African American kid who's on a basketball court with this round thing called a basketball. Like, it just felt like legit. It felt authentic, you know?
Right.
And yeah, man, I enjoyed that. I also think. Oh, you got anything else you want to say about it?
No. Just keep going.
One of the other things I do, and again, we'll get into this more if we go into more details. But I also think this is the first out of the 3 shows they've done so far, 2 seasons of Daredevil, 1 of Jessica Jones, where you got this a little bit in Jessica Jones, where at one point you kind of felt a connection and kind of almost sorry for the Purple Man. You get basically 3-4 villains if you include Shades. You get 3 villains, but you kind of understand where they're coming from, and you kind of you can relate. Like you know they're bad, but you're like, but I understand, right? Like,
I think that there was attempted with Cottonmouth and Diamondback, and you saw it there. I think the person who really got the best treatment of it was Black Mariah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because this honestly was particular. Like, this was a much more better done version of what they did season 1 with Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
It was the rise of a villain, but it wasn't a villain who they told you felt sorry for, who you got excerpts for. You actually went with this woman. You saw her struggles. Like, you felt for her when she failed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you find yourself in a weird space in your relationship with the character, because you're like, wait, do I feel bad with the lady who just beat that guy's head in with a mic stand?
Right.
And you gotta ask yourself that question.
Well, yeah, you felt back and you're like, well, he did say she kind of asked to be raped. So...
Yeah, man, you're like, I
mean,
that was some shit. You don't say that shit to people,
right? You can't do that.
But you also, to be fair, don't crush heads with mic stands. Like, nobody's right here.
Right.
It's the kind of internal calculus you start doing.
Right. You're just like, oh, man. And again, it's like you watch, you always feel sympathy for her because you have these 2 rotten men with Cottonmouth and Diamondback. And like I said, I understood where they were coming from. They were just dead wrong. But with her, they kept dragging her in and trying to use her. And at some point, you kind of like, you're smiling that she comes out on top, and then you're like, wait, but wait, you're evil too. Like, you're not a good person either.
You didn't beat them by being taking the moral high ground.
Right, like
you beat them to the bottom.
Like, you literally had millions of dollars in cash hidden in your office in this building you built, and you were literally taking money from your your cousin's criminal enterprise. Like,
I don't know the details, but I do want the money.
Right.
And then eventually you kill a little girl.
Yeah. Oh.
Like.
Oh, that was putting it over. That was the last one. I was like, wait a minute, are they gonna kill? Damn it! Just when I thought you had been redeemed.
I never thought she'd been redeemed.
Well, no, I never thought she was going to be, but I was just like, maybe there's hope.
Redeemable. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe there's hope, but like, cause like, so when she killed her brother, you're like, well, you did technically kill a criminal. Like, I'm not saying smashing in the head of Cottonmouth and your cousin. It's still murder, still wrong. Shouldn't have done it, even though he did say some fucked up shit and kind of had it coming.
You don't talk to people that way.
But you still can't smash people. But I get it. He's a bad guy.
You don't talk to people like that. Was rude.
Right. It was rude.
The entire approach.
Absolutely rude. He's a bad guy. I get it. But then that girl, who literally had nothing. Like, she was probably.
No, she was gonna send Mariah to jail.
No, she was, but you did kind of deserve to go to jail. Like, you don't have her shot in the head.
Got nothing to do with it, Kriss.
Like, you don't shoot her in the head in the middle. Oh God. Oh, damn it.
The game is the game, Kriss.
The game is the game. So, oh man, yeah, it's but like I said, I love what they did there, and somebody brought up Black Mariah, and I've seen this, just some of the not negativity, but some of the issues people did have, and I have seen this, and I think Dpalm and I, because this is one thing we didn't do in our character corner, we didn't talk too much about villains that we've seen in Luke Cage storylines, stuff like that, and Black Mariah is there. And I've seen people say that they didn't like the fact that they basically made her a skinnier black woman, didn't make her a fat black woman. Which and I get that. I think that's a totally valid issue because they the same thing they did with Amanda Waller. They've done that twice with Amanda Waller now. And I get that, and I definitely think that beyond just this show, I think that Hollywood itself and just in general has an issue with putting women of all, not just all colors, but all shapes in roles, and more than just a stereotypical role. The only pushback I would have against Black Mariah, and in this case with Black Mariah, is, and Dpalm can back me up more on this. I remember when they first said they were going to do Black Mariah in Luke Cage, and people weren't happy because that character has been a racist stereotype for a long time.
The character, I refuse to get into what the character, you can Google it yourselves. I'm telling you right now, it's all the worst racist tropes rolled into one character. And the fact that they were able to save the name should be a huge thank you and shout out to this production team, who is apparently they cared enough to use the name, but also cared enough to say we're not putting that on television.
Yeah, this is one of those things. It goes back to what I would say some of the issues with Luke Cage and not Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and we'll talk about that at the end of this episode, and Doctor Strange are, where they could have been handled better. I definitely think they could have been handled better the way Marvel did them, but the reason for making the change was because the original character is such a racist caricature that they were afraid to do that. And
you couldn't put original Black Mariah on television. You can't do it.
You couldn't, and I definitely remember people being really upset that they were going to do Black Mariah at all.
I was one of those people.
Yeah, I remember, and it wasn't even you that said that. Like, this is other people.
Oh, I was quiet about it, but I was like, we can't do this.
Yeah, I hope they kind of changed that. I will say the new Power Man and Iron Fist issues with David Walker. They do have Black Mariah in there, and she's not. It was actually enjoyable.
They tried to redeem her now, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
At the time they were shooting this, the only depiction we had, not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who now? Their mother, was it Mama Maple?
Mm-hmm.
Now, she was a larger black woman, and I think the way they handled that was pretty good because they made her strong, they made her the leader, and I would have loved to see more of that, actually.
I think we will, given a season 2.
Yeah, I think, because there seemed to be a lot there between Mariah and her mother. Like, how many times do we watch this, do we see episodes where she would look at that photo, and she basically started talking back to it, right? Like, there's something there, and I would definitely love to see more of that. And I think that them making her a larger black woman was kind of their
tip of the cap,
to the original Black Mariah. Yeah. But I think they were afraid of the backlash, and I think that's just something that should be addressed in all of Hollywood. And this goes back to the Iron Fist and the Doctor Strange thing. It's like, the way of handling racial stereotypes isn't always just to say, we're going to go a completely different direction and not acknowledge that they were there. I think it's a way to go into the stereotype and make it so that that's not the only thing. Like, if you had a Black Mariah played by a fat black woman and you had other fat black women in the show, you don't have to worry about Black Mariah just being a stereotype, because she's not going to be the only representation of fat black women in the show.
Right.
And I think that's the next evolution of this. And I say evolution because I think that's where we're going with all this stuff. Like, you're seeing not just Marvel, you're seeing everyone, they're trying to find their footing in how to balance between inclusion and also not going down the stereotype role. So, and I think the way you do that is you just include more. Oddly enough. So,
yeah.
Speaking of inclusion, I want to shout out the fact that also another show, and we're going to see this again with Spider-Man Homecoming. You get New York looking like New York.
And not just that, in one of the scenes with Mama Mabel, the transsexual prostitute's played by a transsexual actor.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know
Yeah.
that. Good for them. Because usually that's not the case.
Didn't make a big fuss about it, but I came across, I heard about it, I looked into it, it's 100% true. Thank you, Marvel.
That is very, very good. I did not know that, because that's another one of those things that tend not to happen.
Right.
They tend not to, they tend to get either a straight woman or a straight man to play a transsexual, and good. Shout out to them. I mean, it's little things like that do matter, and matter a lot in this. So, also, I said that one of the unrealistic things about this show was the barbershop talk not being sexist enough. But I appreciate that. Another one of those things that's not realistic, but I appreciate the fact that the main characters in the police department were all black women.
Right.
And I definitely appreciate the fact that they replaced one black captain with a black woman captain with another black woman captain. Shout out to Gotham for not doing that. But I think that matters. I think it does. Normally when you have these things, it's, every now and then you get a black guy, or you get a white woman, or the black female cop is, in the corner somewhere. Here, the three main black women in the police department were mattered. You had the inspector, you had the captain before her that she replaced, and then you had obviously Misty Knight. And I appreciate the fact that when you meet the inspector, you're thinking that she's just going to be, she's something going to be wrong with her. And not really. She's pretty much a straight shooter.
I really enjoyed, like you said, it's something that you can't not notice.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tiptoe around it. They didn't kind of do it. They just said, this is the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very Marvel thing to do.
Yeah. Even got to throw in tip of the hat to the Deltas and the AKAs. And I realized why they could. That's the best they could do, because those sororities would sue the fuck out of you.
The entire fuck.
Like, you could do that with, I think you might be able to get away with the fraternities, because sometimes we don't give a fuck. But the sororities, they don't fucking play like that. So that was the best thing you get with.
I got real nervous. I was like, am I gonna get in trouble watching this?
You're gonna get a cease and desist letter in your mailbox.
Turn your Xbox off. All right. Sorry. Damn.
Didn't mean to. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you also had you had a single black mother in here who was getting her son was getting the haircut and stuff like that, and again, didn't come off as a stereotype, didn't come off as just
came off as pandering. It just came off as, this is the world.
Yeah, I mean, it added an authenticity to this stuff, even stuff that you're like, hey. Normally we don't see this. It still didn't feel like pander. Like I said, black women all up in the police department, and even the way they some of the most unrealistic things happened in this show because of that. Like the way they handled the police brutality aspect of it. I was like, oh yeah, no, that doesn't happen in real life, guys. That doesn't happen in real life. But when you go, like, maybe we need more black women in charge of police departments, because because that officer again. Third most unrealistic thing that happened in this movie, the officer that beat that kid was immediately charged.
Yeah, I was like, what alternate reality is this?
Like, wait a minute, guys. Look. Bulletproof man, I can believe. Cops being charged immediately for police brutality.
Suspension with pay. How about that?
Right. Like, I'm sorry, sir.
Time and a half with pay.
You guys are going way too far. We're taking liberties here with reality. I can't.
Chris, it's a reality where you have a flying man in a metal suit, but you're right. This is a bridge too far.
No, but I mean, I'm
fool
joking.
Me once, Marvel. Shame on you.
I'm joking, but I'm also kind of serious. Like,
I'm not joking. You're 100% right.
It did stand out to me. It was just like, I'm like,
how could it not?
I was like, wait a minute. She first of all, she jumped in and stopped him, and it's twice, right? Because Misty Knight grabs up Claire at one point. And the inspector's like, yeah, you can't do that. You need to, yeah, we're gonna, no, you can't. Nope. And then when the kid actually gets beat by the officers, he's like, oh, no. You're getting charged. And they had the whole conversation about, and at least, and again, this where it comes in the Black Mariah stuff that I was like, well, maybe she's not that bad. When she was out there leading the charge against the police, I was like, well, I know she's kind of wrong here, but I mean, let's hear her out.
Yeah, she may have some points.
She might have some points about this police brutality shit. Let's fall back a little bit. And I was just like, wait, are we really getting did they really just make 13 episodes with police brutality in the center of this? Are they really doing this? Oh, okay.
I can't, like, honestly, you say it again and it still doesn't feel real. Like, they pulled this off.
Right. Right.
They broke Netflix with it.
Right, they did. They broke Netflix. Let's see what else we got here.
I love the nods, the tiara, and the yellow shirt. I loved it. I'm glad it didn't stay. I get why it couldn't stay. I'm more a fan of the modern Cage myself, but I loved it.
Oh, listen, they did it. And then I love when he also goes back and he tells the story again to Claire, and she's just like, and she jokes him on it, like, oh man, yeah, nah, like when we originally saw the trailer and they saw the nod to the tiara and the bracelets, we were like, okay, cool. But then when I saw him put on that shirt, I was like, yo, they really did it. They had the mini fro, the tiara, the bracelets, and that shirt. I'm like, that was a bigger nod than I think they've done to anything else. And yeah. I'd actually make a point that this has been more closely connected than anything else. You had your man out front selling bootleg DVDs
of the event.
Of the event.
Yo, that's a very, very Harlow thing to happen. Yes. Spent much time in that. Yes, that's accurate.
Like,
if Phil had a problem with that, I'm like, you've never been to Harlem. Like, you don't get it. That wasn't being disparaging at all. That was reporting.
Well, no, I was like, well, you know what the problem? You know what the problem with the show then is? It makes me go, then why the fuck isn't the other show set in New York do this shit, yo? Because like that's what made it feel so authentic. Like you literally had your man out there selling. Like I got your Thor, I got your Green guy, I got your like. Oh, that's so good. And then when he came out, and was like, "Yo, I got the 4K camera. We're gonna get the 4K camera here. We're gonna film this fight." I'm like, but niggas would do that shit though.
Niggas 100% what they would do.
I was like, but like, you know, dudes who would do that. Like, oh man, yo, that shit was amazing to me. It just, like you said, it made the world feel real. It made it feel connected. It made it feel grounded. Even though I would then, next thing I would say is, I think that this is probably the, they did more to explain his powers than anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually went.
Jessica, what happened? I got hit by a truck. I don't know.
Right.
Matt, what happened? He splashed. Timberwolves? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Cage. Well, here's not just how it happened. Here's a scientific explanation on why it's happening, given to you by Rosario Dawson, who's gonna give us tons of exposition like she always does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, down to literally how his powers work. I was just like, wait, that's not something that they've done before. It also follows the Marvel, what I call the Marvel's Netflix formula. Episode 3 always has a great hallway fight.
It's true.
Episode
very
4,
different hallway fight, but a very good one.
Yes. Episode 4 always gives us flashbacks and origin.
Yep.
And yeah, and they really went into it with this flashback and origin. From everything from him meeting Reva to what happened there, and they still didn't go into how he ended up in jail. I don't think we ever really got this entire 13 episodes.
Yeah.
But they went into what happened, the experimentation, and it went. I mean, if you listen to our character corner, and you listen. I mean, they added some more meat to it, but like basically what him being the tank, and then that officer like trying to kill him while he was like that's all there.
Yeah.
That's all. It was that's what happened. So yeah, I really 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 appreciate that. I thought that was really really well done. How they did that. So how did you feel about them changing his origins a little bit to him being ex-military?
I liked it because it gave an explanation as to why he's a pretty good fighter. In the comics, he eventually gets taught by Danny and Cap and how to fight. Because you think about before, if he didn't know how to fight before he had powers, why the hell would he ever learn? After you're super strong and can't be hurt, I'm not going to take karate class. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I can't be hurt. So I liked it there. I liked it because it they played Luke Cage a little bit differently in the comic books.
Yeah.
Like the Luke Cage in the comic books is more fire and brimstone kind of guy. But I liked it. It explained the differences. So in the comics, Luke Cage goes to jail. He was kind of framed, but he also went to jail a lot as a youth. He was a problem kid, and his enmity with his brother in the books stems from his father always having had to bail Luke out of jail. What they did here was they flipped that on its ear. They definitely made him framed to go to jail. They had him be ex-military. I don't know. I see the people having qualms with it, but I also think it makes it cleaner for a wider audience.
Well, I think, again, the issue comes down to understanding that in its own way, Luke Cage's origins and beginnings are kind of problematic. And they definitely, him and Misty Knight both come from that blaxploitation era type of stuff where, hey, we get it, but there's also some huge problem with that shit too.
Huge problem.
Right? So I think what they did was they gave nods to it while cleaning it up and making it a little bit, making it better. And to me, I would also say that people who've had problems with this, they should also have problems with them going with the ultimate version of Sam Wilson, but I don't see anybody complaining about that too much. So there's that. But I think they fleshed it out enough. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Sam Wilson, he's basically got the same background as Sam, except Sam didn't go to jail and Luke did at this point.
Right.
And Sam Wilson's background in the comics, again, is very problematic. Snap Wilson. So, it should tell you something that all those two black male characters basically had the same upbringing and same origin. It kind of makes you wonder of what they,
Yeah, it makes you want. Yeah, it should.
Right.
And it should be noted that Marvel is once again cleaning up their past a little bit.
You're right, and I will allow that.
If you can course correct in the stream, why wouldn't you?
And the reason why I allow it is because of some of the things that they did with that still have good conversation pieces out of them. And again, the episode 4 has some really good things in there. Like when Luke says slavery was always a good offer to a master.
Yeah.
I love the prison conversation about honeys. Zoe Kravitz, or as I like to call her, Godfather Part 2. The sequel's always better than the original. And then like another one of my favorite conversations is you choose Jet over Bruce Lee. Nah, you can't oversee my training, which was real. That's real. That's real. But no, I think that by changing it, you still don't. While they changed his origin, you got to understand that they still didn't. The core is still there. Remember, there was the whole thing with Diamondback when he was like, "Listen, we both stole that car. I'm the one that got in trouble. You didn't." Like, basically, they're talking about how Luke was able to use his privilege he had because he was a favored son to get out of trouble where Diamondback couldn't. So it's not that Luke's background was all squeaky clean. It wasn't squeaky clean. He used privilege. So there's a conversation about privilege in there as well that I think was brought up. And it brings up the whole aspect of, the preacher in the church and, having a child out of wedlock with when he's at his mistress and all that stuff there. Like, I think they probably could have gone a little bit more into that. and maybe spend a little more on that, because I think that would have added more.
Well, we'll get to some of that when we get to the criticisms of the show, of which I have a few.
Mm-hmm. So,
but no, I think you're right. I think that there were so many things that they wanted to touch on that you do kind of feel like, oh, I wish they spent more time with this, and that. But I think that's also the hallmark of a pretty well done, well-rounded show. Mm-hmm. And that there's no particular thing that I'm saying, man, they spent too long on X. I wish they'd spent more time on Y. It's a lot of things that I feel like I wanted more of, but nothing I felt like was wasted time.
Exactly. Love that Claire Temple got more intro in here, and that this will be going back to what I actually think that if Marvel had to do it again, they wouldn't have introed Luke into Jessica Jones. And I think that would have been better, because Luke first starts off, he's in a relationship with Claire in the comics. So you basically get that throughout this, and you get Claire having more. I feel like she has more purpose in this show than she has in the other two shows he was in.
Yeah, the other two shows, she's very there for exposition. She's there to remind the characters, or remind the audience that, yes, this is tied to the other thing. That's tied to the other thing. See you next time. But here she's...
And you also have her running from it. You have her running from being involved in this, and here she pretty much just accepts it, you know?
Well, not even accepts it. Luke is the first one of these people she's interacted with who's doing it to be an inspiration.
True.
Daredevil's doing it to keep his floor block safe. I just, honestly, the more you know about New York, the less plausible the whole thing is. And Jessica's doing it to kind of heal herself. Mm-hmm. Luke's doing it solely to help and inspire other people. Mm-hmm. I thought that her reaction to him was the best way that they sold to the casual audience how inspirational Luke Cage is.
Right.
Because when she saw Jessica, she's like, oh, not this shit again. Mm-hmm. Like, she's upset. Mm-hmm. But when she meets Luke, she's like, oh, you're the guy who got shot in the head. And then she's like, oh, wait, there's a lot more here. And she finds herself just... And that's one of the things I really liked about it, is that he's Black Captain America. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons I was okay with putting him in the military. Mm-hmm. And by Black Captain America, I mean that he's truly an inspirational figure to those around him.
Right.
He's a leader who didn't want to be. He just plain doesn't like bullies. And he doesn't carry a shield because he is the shield.
Right.
Both those guys, main weapon, main tactic. Yeah, Captain America's got a level of super strength, and he's pretty much a badass, but he carries a shield. Luke Cage is super strong. First and foremost, he's invulnerable. Mm-hmm. Their primary powers are defensive. Mm-hmm. They are the shield to protect the people and to inspire them.
In episode 2, he's literally shielding a young boy.
Exactly.
From being shot. Is he episode 2?
He's literally the shield of Harlem.
Right. You know?
He's Black Captain America, and that's the story they told.
And in a way, these 13 episodes is literally, at least the first 10 or so, is him basically being the focus for everyone else. It's him taking the bullet so the rest of Harlem doesn't have to take them, right? And then that becomes a larger thing where people are like, start realizing that it's like, well, no, we'll start attacking. We'll take the focus off of attacking him because we can't attack him. So then we'll attack Harlem instead and then blame him for that. Exactly. Like that becomes a thing. And it's like, again, the same thing that happens with Captain America sometimes when you realize, okay, you don't go straight at Captain America. You go at the people around him or the things he represents to try to take Captain America down that way. Because again, if you're coming up, the best way to go up against a shield is not to go directly at it, to go around it. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what they did here with this show and with Luke Cage as a whole. So, absolutely. So, love that aspect of that. Let's see.
I love what they did with Misty Knight. Mm-hmm. I love that she was such a focal point. Had you seen her in anything else prior to this?
No.
Neither did I. So, that's something that's going to come up later. But, I really think that more than anything, you have to watch her go from someone who, and I love the line, I think it's in episode 3, I don't want justice, I seek it. I'm addicted to justice.
Yeah, I think that was later, because that was when she was having her, they had the episode where she was talking to the psychologist, I believe, I think.
I thought that was talking to Luke. But
maybe it was.
Either way, that line right there, I was like, that really defines this character. And you watch her, like, it's not like one day she's just all frustrated. Just this whole system's crap. You watch her belief in dependence on the system erode.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that I think a lot of people were missing. That one, and I think again, go back and listen to our character corner for Luke Cage and Misty Knight. There was that time when she got her arm cut, not her metal arm cut off, and she kind of had a breakdown. And Colleen was like, "Yeah, I know you could always go back to being a cop, but you don't because you have issues you don't talk about." And I think they kind of got to that really well with Misty in these episodes, where one, you see her belief system in the justice system fall apart. I mean, from her partner being dirty to her watching Mariah get away with it, knowing that she's wrong and getting away with it, to seeing that the only person who can really stand up and do things is a vigilante, and she really has no power to get that stuff down, to at the very end when she thinks that she's finally won and she's finally got everything going, that young girl she swore to protect is now dead in the street. Everything, it's all gone,
Right.
And all that stuff you see with her in that, like, I thought the episode was done really well with her talking to the shrink, because it gave you insight into her mentality on this. And in a way, the inspector wasn't wrong. It's like, yeah, you have issues you probably need to deal with, but you shove them down there and you won't do it.
Right.
And I think that is the character of Misty Knight. Very highly capable, very smart, can break things. And I love the fact that they made her a detective, not a bomb squad, just a bomb squad detective. And you see the way she pieces things together. Thought it was really done well. I mean, she did a better detective mode than Batman has done in the movies, but okay.
I really like that aspect of what they let her do there with the with kind of recreating the scene in their own mind, and then I loved it when people would snap her out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, will you stop?
Right.
Because it's like, yeah, it's kind of cool for us as the viewer, but like for people around her, that's just weird. Stop doing that.
Right.
You're doing that thing where you stare off in the distance again. Cut it out.
Right. Hey, real quick, was that the yellow USB drive from Jessica Jones?
It was.
Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. So I think that we're seeing how they're going to connect all of these characters together through Reva and these experiments that were going on.
Hey, real quick, what was the name of the truck that splashed chemicals on Matt Murdock?
Oh, I can't remember. What was it?
Rand Enterprises.
It was Rand. Yep. There we go.
Danny Rand.
There we go.
It's all becoming very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you see the announcement of who the villain is for Defenders?
I know that it's Sigourney Weaver. I don't know who she's playing.
Oh, I just thought Sigourney Weaver was announced. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. Then they brought her out at New York Comic Con. Sigourney Weaver. Okay, sure, you got me. All right. Yeah. I mean,
Touché, Marvel.
You already had me, but I mean, okay.
I believe that's checkmate, Marvel.
Right. I mean,
correct.
It seems like you're trying too hard here, but okay, I'll take it.
If you're gonna twist my arm, I'm gonna watch.
Right. I mean, shit. If we're really gonna do this, but I love that. I love the fact that I love the fact that the ties to all the other shows are actually smaller than we think. The DA from second season.
What's his name?
Yeah, the black guy.
Oh man, what's his name?
Yeah, I can't remember. But
look the hell out of me. Keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. But yeah, he showed up at the at the standoff outside of the Harlows Paradise, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't he from? I know him somewhere. It was early. I was like, wait, he's from the last season of Daredevil, and he's basically the new guy that's running things. So I'm like, okay. Again, small little connections there, even down to Claire telling Luke at the end, "Hey, I know some lawyers." I'm like, "Hey,
I know a really good lawyer.
Call the fucking lawyer." take the number, call the goddamn lawyer.
He's right. He's right. You should do that.
Come on, just let's not do this. All right. What else we had here? All right, so we can't go further without, you know, it could be the number one thing. The music, man.
Look, man, I don't know how much money they had to pay for all this to occur, but I'm glad they paid it.
I love that they started doing this thing where they had the live performances in Harlows Paradise from all the, like, cause it caught me at first, like, first I just wasn't paying attention. I was like, wait a minute, they actually got the actual artists out here perform. Oh, you guys are good.
It's D.A. Blake Tower.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I love that. I love the imagery of, sometimes they had this, like, there was a repeated imagery of always having the different villains showing up with the crown behind their head. Started off with Cottonmouth, then it was Diamondback, then it became Mariah and Shades later on. Right. Mariah and Shades, technically, because when she takes down the Biggie poster, put the new one up there, there's now 2 crowns in that picture. And at some point, they both show up in front of that. Like, it's little subtle things like they did between that and then also having the music going on.
It's also a famous painting, apparently, because my fiance recognized it, knew exactly who the painter was, and I'm a cultured asshole, and I didn't. But apparently, it's a very famous artist. Yeah. But I think that's a great juxtaposition with the Biggie poster.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's gone from Biggie poster to high art.
What's his name? Mahershala Ali. I thought he did a really great job as Cottonmouth.
He was great, man.
Because
wow.
He was just evil as shit sometimes. Like, when he shot that one dude who was trying to get all smart, I can't remember exactly what he was talking about, but he was saying something, and my nigga was just like, and just put the gun up and shot him in the head. And I'm just like, God damn, man. You can't even be cultural.
I like it. I like how definitive he was. He didn't think about it. He didn't consider it. He's like, I'm going to shoot this dude.
Well, I like that he also had rules. So when
there were rules.
When Tone ended up shooting up the barbershop and killed Pops, he threw Tone off the building. And then
I love Turk being like, y'all Harlem is crazy.
Right, I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen.
Like, Turk's, I know technically clear temple's the connective tissue. Mm-hmm. I really think it might be Turk.
Oh, true. Yeah. Turk is just like, yo, I'm not having any of this shit. And they're always fucking with him. Like, Daredevil last season was punching him and fucking him up. And then this season, Luke put him in a fucking trash can. He's like, yeah, there's food in there. You'll be fine. It's like, there's baby diapers in here, man. Oh yeah, man. I really but I love that. I love that they made Harlows Paradise basically the centerpiece for this, and it's where black culture kind of oozed out, which is what they were. That honestly was Mariah's whole thing. She was trying to bring back the culture and preserve the black culture there, and she was doing it in horrible ways, but that's what Harlows Paradise was supposed to represent. And by having the music performance there, like, did you hear about who they wanted for the last performance, but obviously they couldn't get?
Oh man, it's the reason they had the swear jar.
Yeah, they wanted Prince, man.
Why even tell them? Why disappoint the
dog? If that had happened, oh my god, like, dude, can you imagine that?
No.
Oh god.
And I want to.
Right. But I mean, I loved how they did that. I loved how they had those performances and how while it represented the bad guys' headquarters, it also represented just like this feeling of black culture, and it kind of represented multiple generations of black culture, because you basically had different acts from different generations performing on that stage, and it all represented different things. So it's like, I think that folks are going to underappreciate how much this show really tried to do so much. I mean, we joke about it, but really try to do so much for the culture. It tried to do so much by trying to be something for everyone. And obviously there are going to be times where it falls short and it couldn't cover everybody. But the fact that it tried, I think has to be commended for that. So, love that. Love Shades too.
Yo, look, man, Shades. Shades is a corny fucking character in the comics. He's Dollar General Cyclops.
Yeah. Theo Rossi played the fuck out of him though, yo.
Yo, man, like that's another one. I'm like, yo, I hope no one got mad about them changing Shades, did they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, because the original Shades is ass. This is great.
Again, we mentioned Alfre Woodard as Mariah. I think she was the standout of that. How'd you feel about Eric Harvey as Diamondback Striker?
I feel like I want to make sure no one cloned Tony Todd.
Like I get.
Like I was like, is that Tony Todd? Is Tony Todd time traveling?
I think they went back. This is another one of those throwbacks where it's like, yeah, he was corny and over the top. He was literally like your corny over the top villain. But I think like he to me was the throwback villain to those throwback early Luke Cage comics. Like he was such a like even down to his in costume. I'm not gonna lie, I like that shit, yo. I liked it.
I couldn't believe they did it. I couldn't believe, like, it was either really ballsy or dumb as shit. I couldn't tell.
It was so corny. I liked it, yo. I'm
honestly, to this day, on the fence. Like, I watched this thing 3 weeks ago. I'm like, how do you feel about it? I'm very conflicted. There's a very real part of me that's like, fuck yeah, you give me a comic panel on a television screen. But another part of me is like, that looked ridiculous.
But I loved it, man. I love that it was.
I'm glad that you love it. I'm glad that one of us feels this strongly one way. I'm so in the middle on this. I'm really glad you're passionate about
because he was so corny himself and over. Like he was such a bad, like a '70s bad guy. Like he could have been a Bond villain from the '70s, yo. Like that's what he felt like.
Talk about it more when we get to my problems with the series. But yeah, you're right. He was super over the top.
He was such.
I liked the over the top aspect of it. You're right. I like that they leaned into the this is some crazy comic book shit. I love that they just said, oh yeah, these guns are from fucking Hammer Tech. I'm like, that's brilliant, guys. No one's thought about Justin Hammer since what's his face danced his way off screen in Iron Man 2.
Right.
Sam Rockwell. Why does he dance on? He always dances, doesn't he?
Yeah, they need to bring Justin Hammer back because
Sam Rockwell's hilarious.
Well, that too, and just like I love the hammer reference. Like that was.
It was a great little wrinkle,
and I loved it. And even then, because my other thing too was, how do you put Luke Cage in danger if he's invincible and indestructible? I was like, well, and again, you can't just have regular bullets, but if you make them bullets from alien tech.
The incident,
then I can allow that. That makes sense. And it kind of actually did the Judas bullet remind you of the I can't remember what they called it in Iron Man 2, the one that didn't work, that war machine caught on fire.
Called the ex-wife.
Right. It didn't work. I was like, oh wow, Hammer Tech actually got tech that works this time. Oh, okay.
Well, it couldn't all be bad. You wouldn't have gotten that big of a corporation.
True. Yeah, man. So all right, let's go into some things that didn't work for you, man.
All right. So first and foremost, I've seen some negative things written about the show. I want everyone to know it's Avengers Initiative on me for this. Fuck your criticism. That said, not perfect. I thought it was paced a little strangely. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of the meta thing. I really have a lot of problems with Diamondback from a narrative point of view. So originally he shades his big ace. He's his Joker. He says, you don't want Diamondback to get involved. So you've now painted a picture of him as this imposing figure that strikes fear into Cottonmouth, but is too big for the streets.
Right.
The next time you see Diamondback, he's in an armored car shooting Luke Cage with an experimental rifle. Mm-hmm. And then chasing him through the streets with a gun. Then he's Luke Cage's brother, who just coincidentally set up a crime cartel in the same part of the world where Luke Cage escaped from prison and fled to. Mm-hmm. You're asking me to... And not only is Diamondback not doing this from the entire purpose of getting Luke Cage literally stumbles into his lap when Shades recognizes him in Cottonmouth's office, says, Carl Lucas. You're asking me to accept a lot.
You know where they could have gone with this and where they could have fixed it. I definitely see where you're coming from with that. if they tied it into the whole Punisher thing with, because maybe because he has military tech. Where do you get military tech from? And you had the Punisher with the disc and his former unit and things like that. If you tied it in that way, it would make sense that he's basically been setting up here already, and Luke Cage does kind of just come out of nowhere.
Just kind of stumbles into it.
It literally stumbles. I could have dealt with that.
Right.
So yeah. But
I feel like Diamondback would have been better served as two different characters.
Mm.
If you'd have done one as the big boss who's just above the streets, because like even when they take over the Harlows Paradise, Shane's like, you don't have a fucking plan.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Like, how did he get to such a big, powerful, feared position if this motherfucker can't think of a plan? Like, yeah. I don't know. It just felt like if you'd had one character be Shades' boss and then have a wild card firing on everyone from all sides in his brother, I think that would have worked better for me.
Yeah, you know why he works for me? And I'm not saying that anything you said was wrong. Only because Eric Harvey is just charming.
No, Eric Harvey does a great job with it.
Yeah, he's charming as fuck.
I just think you're asking him to do so goddamn much.
Yeah, I couldn't see past the teeth, yo. I couldn't see past the teeth, yo. That crooked ass smile, that sly smile, yo. I just couldn't see past it. I was like, you know what? I don't trust this guy, but I want to hear him out. So.
And my other biggest, this isn't even a complaint. This is a criticism. This is a worry and maybe advice for future directors. The young lady who played Misty Knight is some&nbsp, is that it?
Yeah.
Like you said, this is her first time being in things. Putting her in a scene alone with Alfre Woodard and or Rosario Dawson isn't fair to the actress. Dude, when they're in the cage and like she tries to buck on Claire and Claire gets that real rage, I'm like, oh, one of these are a really good actress. Oh shit. Get Simone out of there. Like, she's great. I think it's going to be great to watch her grow in the role and become a better actress. It's just that Alfre Woodard is like a generational talent acting-wise, and Rosario Dawson's very, very good.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the only time. That was literally the only time the entire show I was like, "Oh wow, they're way better actresses than her." Mm-hmm. Like she had the stare down by Mariah. I was like, "You're not going to win this." I know the story may have you win this.
Yeah,
you don't win this because Alfre Woodard's blowing you off the screen right now.
Yeah, you can't win that one.
I was in a movie with her once.
You said what now?
I was in a movie with Alfre Woodard once.
You were?
Have you seen the movie Miss Evers Boys?
No.
It's a HBO movie, won a bunch of awards. The very first scene of the movie is a boy got kicked in the chest by a mule and dies on a table, and that's me dying on the table at 11 years old. There's 2 days of shooting. It's me, Alfre Woodard, and God, there's another actor there. I forget. But yeah.
You got to use that, man. You got to hit an Alfre and be like, listen,
you may not remember me,
right? But I was
you held my hand while I died on the table for 2 days,
right? You got to use all your connections, man.
Everyone we got, man.
I will say,
I think the Diamondback thing was the one thing that really kind of took me out of it a little bit, and that because just from I just like, well, what is this character supposed to be?
I actually feel like Diamondback they gave you Diamondback, one, to get that fight, and two, just as a vehicle, which is, I like it because this usually the reverse, as a vehicle to push Mariah forward.
Right. Yeah, that was the other thing. So, is that he served that purpose very well.
Which honestly usually is reversed, right? Usually it's the female character being used as a device to push the male character forward. They reverse that here, and I'm gonna allow it.
It worked really well.
Yeah, it did.
I really believed that Black Mariah had earned that spot at the top by the end of that 13 episodes.
Oh, absolutely. And did not want to fuck with her after that. So.
Oh, no, I wanted none of those problems.
Yeah, none of those fucking problems. For me, it's one of the things because I made this announcement and said I was going to do this, so I have to do it now, and I'm sorry Misty still has her arm. And
yo, she better look, man.
I'm not happy about that. I am not happy about that. They teased it. When they shot, I'm like, okay, they're gonna shoot it up. All right, fine. And then when Claire fixes it, sews up, and is like, yeah, but if you move too much, we're gonna take the arm. I'm like, all right, cool. She'll move too much because Misty's not gonna listen, and she'll still lose the arm. And she didn't lose her arm. So
when she got shot in the arm, one of my friends was like, oh, I go, yes.
Yeah, I cheered. I'm not gonna lie.
I was like, take the arm, take it away.
I cheered. So yeah, guys, I need you guys to work on that. Like, She has to lose that arm. Like we just can't we can't go forward. I mean, this is we can't move on this one, guys. Like, she has to lose that arm. I mean, I will not budge on that one. There are certain things I'm fine with you changing. Misty Knight needs to lose that arm. All right, so yeah. Even if you lose it and I don't know somehow have a rich boyfriend somehow create an arm for her. I don't know how you do it. Or purchase an arm for her. I don't know, but figure that shit out. So was there anything else I had on there?
I just realized.
What?
She had a metal arm and she dated Danny Rand. They both had iron fists. Sorry.
Just saying. Love the Colleen Wing. Little.
Such a great nod.
Yeah, you
These people. That's the thing about the Marvel creators. They are tours. They all got their own ways of storytelling, but they love the stories that they're telling. Mm-hmm. They'll do anything they can to just sneak stuff in there for us, man. They love the fans, and they seem to be real fans themselves, and I appreciate it because you see enough people working on enough shows, Gotham, that don't like what they're doing. Of course, if I was making Gotham, I don't think I'd like it either.
Valid.
Ugh.
Valid. So, hey, we all make mistakes, man. So I love that. So let's finish this up. Anything else you want to say about this?
No, man, I really, and I know, like I said, I have my criticisms, and there's like little tic-tacky things that I think part of it is Marvel is at the forefront of the like dumping your whole season out there, the binge watch revolution, if you will, and so it's hard for them. There's no blueprint to pace things.
Yeah,
I think they're continually getting better.
Yeah,
and I think they're continually learning. I think that probably by Defenders, they're going to have they're going to continue to refine how they pace the storytelling. Mm-hmm. And that'll be kind of like, and I think it'll time out perfectly because if they can pull it off with Defenders with their biggest level of Netflix spectacle, it'll be really impressive to see.
Yeah, I think, and I binge this stuff because I just have to get it out there so people don't spoil it for me, unfortunately. But if I could do it over, I would probably try to do them in 4 episode chunks. And I think that might. Oh, because I was like I don't understand how binging shows like this is, especially when you're doing our Netflix originals, and you're putting all of it out there right away. It's got to be hard, right? Like, how do you pace that? Because it's not like a movie. It's not like a regular TV show. You're basically pacing 13 hours back to back to back to back. So, like you said, there's going to take some time to put that stuff together and work on that. And I'm looking forward to it, man. And I like you said, nothing's ever perfect, but I thought they did a really good job of blending new with the old and doing enough throwback. Like, they did more throwbacks in this than I think they've done in any other Netflix show. Like, I think they really understood the importance of this, and it's also why I give Marvel, and we're gonna talk about this next. It's why I give Marvel some leeway when it comes to things like Doctor Strange and Iron Fist, where I'm like, well, let me see what they do, because it seems like we've seen 2 examples of them taking really important black characters in Black Panther and Luke Cage, and they heard the criticisms and they heard the worrying, and to me, they met expectations or even surpassed them. So I'll be very interested in seeing what they do with Iron Fist, knowing that people have some issues with Asian culture appropriation and Danny Rand being a white man, even though it's in the comics that way. That that history, if they had to do it over again, I bet you Marvel wouldn't have done it that way. But seeing what they did with Luke Cage, it seems like Marvel is very aware of the problematic past. And instead of running from it, they're trying to acknowledge it while also moving forward. So it makes me very interested in seeing what they do.
Yeah, I understand everything that's been said about Iron Fist. I'm 100% on board with. I think this is a very big missed opportunity for Marvel to have taken that step. But that teaser, though.
Yeah, I'm watching Iron Fist. Like, just to say that. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't fault anybody who boycotts. I don't fault anybody who doesn't watch. Just throwing it out there. There's no Birth of a Nation bullshit where you go, well, why did you guys watch Iron Fist? I totally understand why people won't. I get it. But that teaser though, I'm watching the fuck out of that shit.
That teaser though.
I'm watching the fuck out of that.
The fuck out of Iron Fist.
And I'm gonna hope for a Daughters of the Dragon spinoff and a Heroes for Hire spinoff with.
Yo, I'm so here for Colleen Wing.
Yeah. Colleen and Misty together, yo.
Son. Yeah, I'm here for everything.
That's the only. You know what? If there's one thing I would have wished, instead of it being Claire that finds that the thing for Colleen's martial arts class, it would have been Misty. That would have made me scream a little bit. You know, I would have screamed like a little child. I would have.
I wanted to already know Misty.
Oh, that'd be. Yeah, that,
I want Claire to be like Claire to be like, you should come to this class with me. This class, and Colleen Wing, like, I guess I can come, and like totally not want to go. And the finally goes like, oh, no, that's my girlfriend from way back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching the fuck out of Iron Fist, and I get the problems with it. I do, and you won't hear me telling people you got to go fuck that. Your issues are wrong. Nope. I totally get it. And but the other reason why I want to see it is I do want to see how Marvel, because again, part of me can't believe that Marvel's not listening and want to, because I've seen how they've done with black characters. So part of me has to believe they have to have something up their sleeve to address and deal with those issues, even if it's not the way people want them to be. I want to see how they done it, and they would have had two things now, because they had the Iron Fist thing, but they also had Doctor Strange, and I think Doctor Strange might take a hit too because of this. We'll see, but I think they would have learned their lesson, and then we'll see what they do going forward from there. So yeah, man, I'm in, and then and then we get Defenders that fall, and
I don't know. One day I'm explaining to my child that it wasn't always like this.
Right. We didn't used to get all this goodness on TV.
You'd have to like find your comics whenever you could find the comic shop. Because these are the dark days after they were no longer like Toys R Us and like gas stations.
Mm-hmm.
And now look where we are.
Yeah.
We just discussed Luke Cage for an hour. And just freaked out about the fact that they're making an Iron Fist show. And the fact that there are legitimate questions to be asked. Right. People are not just accepting the fact that we have this cool shit. We're demanding more from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. And to be fair, on a large scale, they deliver when we demand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one company does. The other company, everyone's mom's name is Martha or something. I don't know. It's really weird.
Oh, two things before we go back. It was benign neglect. That's what the dude said, and Cottonmouth shoots him in the head. Benign neglect. He's like, what are you talking about? Benign. And he goes, he's just like, fuck this shit. And then the other one, I forgot to mention this. The two competing church speeches between Cottonmouth and Luke, I thought were done really well. And kind of represented the entire show. So,
speech. It never happened now.
Yeah. Oh, another subtle similarity between these. The lawyer who gets Shades out is the same lawyer that got Fisk. Is Fisk's old lawyer, the black guy? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Fisk's lawyer.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Again. Just like I like when the CW shows do this, it's the small cameos and crossovers that matter to me, that make the real, like, again, you can have the big ones, have the major characters come over, but when you have like the smaller characters come over and you really start gelling the world together, and that's why it works. So yeah, I was just going through my notes and I saw that I had made a note about that. So yeah, and best line of the entire show. Bulletproof always comes secondary to being black.
He's not wrong.
Which basically sums up this entire show.
Man.
Gotta appreciate it, man. Gotta appreciate it. All right. Super Tuesday recap. We will be back this week. Got a full week. Shannon and the Doctor have Supergirl. Depot and I will be back for Arrow and Agent of Shield and the Flash. And then next weekend we'll have the next episodes of Arrow and Legend of Tomorrow. And also next weekend we'll have maybe next weekend we might have to push it back. We'll see. We'll be doing a character corner on the Justice Society of America, the JSA. So yeah, folks. Thank you guys very much for listening. And until next time, peace.